Hello YouTube, it is I, the Amazing Kitty Assultus, with another video, and today I'm going to be installing Windows Millennium on a Gateway Solo 2500. Now the first thing I will do, since I've already copied my Millennium install file is over here, and of course I'm using the method that I like using the best, most, and that is install Windows 98 on here, and then just install Millennium from the folder that I've got in here. Of course, it's a folder that I gotta find right here. The reason for doing it this way is because, well, Millennium is best installed from and this is the MSDN edition of Millennium. And I thought Millennium might actually be a much better operating system to install on this laptop than 98 Second Edition. Even though I use 98 Second Edition as a basis for this process. Yeah, probably not. It is strongly recommended that you close Windows programs. Blah, 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 blah. I get it. I know. I've done this. How many times have I installed Windows 9X? So many times. So, except, of course, there's a product here. This is the MSDN release. I can install it to a different folder, but we'll just use the Windows directory. And this processor is more than capable of running this version of Windows. I bet you not many people install Windows Millennium on one of these laptops. They either go with like Windows 98 or an even better operating system, Windows 95. Like 98's gonna nerf this laptop. Like you're not going to be able to run MS DOS mode. Unlike Windows 95, where you can run the MS DOS mode, but you're going to be only be able to do it but you're going to have to be back into Windows and boot back into MS DOS mode in order to get it to work again. Save system files? No. Custom. I'm going to because we're going to install all of this. So we're going to install so now Gateway Solo, English, what's kind of cool about this Nope. And it's ready to complete. Yeah, this version of Windows would probably not be the best version of Windows for this laptop, though. I would recommend something like Windows 95 for this. Windows 95 with this laptop, it works very well. I'm going to just pause it for right now. And so now it has changed our screen. And I've never ran Windows Millennium on this laptop. I mean, it was one of my first choices of operating system to throw on this thing when I got it. I thought about it. Probably going to lag DOS support. So I decided, why not just throw Windows Millennium on here? And you know what? It does kind of look like an almost good operating system for on here. Of course, we can see the Microsoft. And the reason why I'm throwing Millennium on here is also to kind of celebrate how many years of Internet Explorer. Like, how many of us had used that for a very long time? I and it does indeed start it faster. That's another advantage of actually throwing Millennium on this laptop, is it'll make this laptop run faster. Since I'm already installed a operating system which nerfs my laptop's capabilities, I might as well have the faster startup, which was a really nice novel thing about Millennium. This laptop should have no problems running Millennium, since this laptop has Windows, has more hard drive space, not hard drive space, RAM, and I can hook up a network card to this laptop, a wireless card to this thing now, which is one of my favorite advantages with Millennium. For this good old Internet Explorer, they gotta shill Internet Explorer on to us. And this is actually taking a pretty long time. And the reason why I thought about just installing Millennium on here, since I was going to be running Windows 998 on this SD card, was because they're not that different, to be honest. Yeah, Millennium is just a vastly improved 98 with a nerfed MS-DOS mode, with an MS-DOS mode capability removed, which is its major hindrance. But on this laptop, that's not gonna be a big deal. This is gonna be one of those laptops that definitely benefits from enhanced modes. And besides this has USB 2.0 support built right in. So you're going to get vastly better modes and whatnot. This has DirectX 7 built in already, so I'm not going to lose backwards compatibility with older games. Windows Media Player 7, which is probably the only major drawback that this laptop will ever have, is Windows Media Player 7 support on this thing is non-existent. This laptop can't even boot it. And so we're running quite possibly one of the better operating systems that Microsoft ever made, depending upon the hardware that you're running it on and the version that you're running. Like, I bet you retail versions were far better than the OEM versions that came with hardware. Upgrade editions were probably the best versions because you're basically installing on an existing Windows. As long as your Windows install is clean, it's a clean installation, then there shouldn't really be any problems. Windows Movie Maker, of course. Of course, Windows Movie Maker is one of the better programs. Made its introduction on Windows Millennium. Good old automatic update. This was the first to introduce the automatic updates program, I think. This and Windows 2000 were the first two operating systems to introduce this. XP would come with it pre-installed. One. Yeah, this actually even supports older hardware as well. So it was like most certainly the best operating system to run on an older on a laptop like this. Especially if you got like a retail copy. You're better off with retail or MS or even the MSDN release, which this is the MSDN release. Should be drinking my water while I'm doing this. This is like one of my favorite installation screens. There's not really a whole lot of videos of the Windows Millennium installation screen anyway. Of the Windows Millennium copying files screen. Which might as well be the installation. Well, this has taken us roughly 21 minutes so far. Almost pretty much half an hour. So I'm going to let it do its thing. And it's almost done here. 99. Yeah, someone sees this. Oh my god, it's running the most horrible operating system ever made. Ew! Ew! I'm probably gonna hear some douchebag in the comments section complaining, but you know, it's my system. I can put whatever the hell I want on here. If you don't like it, too bad. You know, I don't do this when when you do. I don't do it to you, so don't do it to me. And so this is the last part of the setup. But that is kind of a rare screen that I showed off in the previous section of the video. and it's just configuring stuff. Just configuring a plug and play, which this laptop should be more than capable of running Millennium. Except I would never recommend running Millennium on here just because it's a little too new. The only reason why I'm running it on here is because it just supports things a little bit. There's just better overall support on this laptop as far as drivers. Millennium, I'm sure, comes with all the drivers for this laptop, but there are a few drivers that I will want to update with the more up to date Millennium drivers. I'm going to let it do its thing and let it. Yeah, this is just boring crap anyway. It's a pretty slow process to install Windows Millennium. And it's going to be even slower just to update it. And so now we're getting our plug and play devices up and ready. But it's a lot quicker to install it from here, from an upgrade anyway. Because we've already got Windows 98 on here. So might as well. Beep. I'm going to pause it here. There you go, it's starting back up again. And it looks like my sister is sitting outside about to light a fire. Pause it again. Get ready for acupuncture torture. While this runs like a slow MF. And so it's going to do that. So if we're going to I just wanted it to just wait a while. This has a Pentium with MMX technology on it. And I could hear people in the This is going to take a while. Of course, I have my Ethernet plugged in, which I already had installed the drivers for the Ethernet. But I bet you this will already update most drivers on this laptop anyway. I'm going to just pause it. Now we're going to boot it up. For the first time on this laptop, I have installed Windows Millennium. And this is going to be cool. On a 200 megahertz Pentium MMX. More than capable of running this great operating system. Oh god, that was loud. But this already update already. It's already 9 o'clock. It's still a damn time. There you go. I have to throw the clip in here because it's gonna run like but this is gonna come up with a menu. Spank that kid. I'll have to throw this video in the Microsoft logo. Digital media. So we got all sorts of little things. Yeah. That was Windows Millennium installation on the Gateway Solo 2500. Hello YouTube, it is I, the Amazing Kitty Celtis, for part 2 of this video. And today I'm going to be showing you the ins and outs of Windows Millennium. For those who, on this laptop, for those who probably want to know tips and tricks. Now, I'm going to go to here. One of the things that Windows Millennium will do is install the WDM drivers for the Neomagic 3DX sound. And one added benefit of having that on here is now we've got the wavetable. The Windows GS wavetable SW synth, which means we can actually kind of run DOS games on here with general MIDI. It's these drivers are a tad bit buggy for that. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing is probably reinstalling the original VXD drivers. But one added benefit of having WDM drivers is that we can enable hibernation. But hibernation is probably not going to be a thing I make use of with this laptop, but you can enable it. I will show you what that looks like in action. So here we go. I've enabled it. I will disable it. But we're going to go here before doing that. Go here, file system, check our settings. Disable system restore. Always disable it before doing any. When you always disable it immediately after installing Millennium. There you go. No boot screen. Let's show what that hibernation looks like. Of course, we all know what hibernation looks like, but what does it look like in Millennium? So we've got shutdown, restart, and they even changed this fancy interface. Much more simplified. Hibernation. The computer cannot hibernate with standby because the closed caption decoder cannot enter into a low. See, this computer probably can't do hibernation, so I would be better off installing VXD drivers. So let's install the VXD drivers. See, VXDs would probably be much more compliant. That's not. Notice it's on here. Let's change the driver out. It's the 256 driver. Wow. No wonder the DOS stuff doesn't work right. So I should have old. Let's install. Before I do that, let's make sure I disable hibernation mode. But DOS mode with those WDM drivers. But not DOS mode, but the DOS gaming with those WDM drivers is not a good idea. It's funky and but weird. But doing this, installing the VXD drivers, now that is something that we're going to do. Because at least we'll have one major advantage. I've installed the old VXD drivers. Now I want to install the new ones. The ones from like roughly 1999. I went into the wrong window. It'd be a good idea to update. Yeah, I think I installed the wrong window. So now I'm going to go into and the new little addition of Millennium is that it just creates categories. So I'm going to update the sound drivers on here. New. Oh, interesting. So those are the WDM drivers. Oh, that is so interesting. I did not know this. It'll just want to install those. So those are like the newer like WDM drivers for the audio chip. It's on here now. I've installed the older drivers, the ones that would have come with. Let's see if we can get a DOS game work going. Now, let's see if we can get that to work. But I will probably install those WDM drivers. Interrupt 715. No, wrong one. Choose music card. Yep, we can run DOS games in Windows Millennium. But we don't have MS-DOS mode, which is fine. I might have to use another driver that I have somewhere. Save before exiting. Yeah, why not? Let's let's boot her up. This Windows 95 is sucking up my drive. It makes the Pentium fly. 386 don't have the speed. We're gonna have to buy. But blood running on here. We got DOS support now. Fuck yeah, baby. We have proper DOS mode support. And it's probably going to run better on here since it is Millennium. Man, this game is so bloody. Open for business. Blood is probably the only build engine. Blood and Shadow Warrior are probably the only build engine games that I haven't really played that much. Duke Nukem 3D, on the other hand, I have. This game is so gory. It burns! It burns! Burns! You're gonna die, Caleb. We're gonna need a bigger boat. Yeah, I had to play this part. But that is so cool, isn't it? That is cool. Windows Millennium does support DOS games, and it obviously does support Windows games as well. You get DirectX 7 by default on Windows Millennium, which is fine. But good to know that the DOS games are working under Windows Millennium now. I just need to install the newer drivers for the I just need to install the newer versions of the VXD drivers on this laptop. And until next time, peace out. One major advantage of Windows Millennium is that we can run a thumb drive on here, and it'll just be recognized. It'll be recognized. I mean, one of the main reasons why I bought this laptop was the fact that it had USB ports. And I thought USB ports would be cool on such an old, on such an, on, yeah, this is the major advantage of a Windows Millennium is the USB support. And so if you needed to copy your driver over, you can, bada bing, bada boom, you can do that. Let's see if what we got here. We had WDM drivers. So I guess we're going to be stuck with our VXD drivers. The older VXDs, which is fine because these older VXD drivers work good enough as it is. They're better than the WDM drivers that came with Windows. And I would have been the ones that would have been installed in 98, 98 on Millennium. But Millennium will always go for the WDM drivers whenever it can. Might have to finagle it into not doing that. But if you need to copy files to and from the system, we can do it from here. So if we got a video file, like right here, you can copy it over. There you go. And so laptops of the era from like 1997 to like 2003, like mainly laptops from like 1990, from like the early to like the mid to late 90s would have had would have either had like would have had things like Slim Scuzzy, and and this would have been the only kind of kind of external storage at the time at very low capacity by compared to what we can get with thumb drives. Which is one of the nice advantages of this laptop having a USB. And you would have not have had something like this, or even, but you would have had something like this be available with such a laptop like this. But you would have actually either mainly back in the line, you would have had either one of these, which I don't have the dongles for, but this would plug into something into a jack called that looks like that. That would be attached to the card. There's like two to this card. I mean, there would be like this is RJ11, which is IE telephone, and that's what a telephone jack looks like, folks. That's what an RJ11. This in particular is one of those one of those surge protector things for like your phone or modem. But most people would have probably been using something like this back in the day rather than something like this. But this was available to people back in the day. And what's neat about this one is that it's got the port is built right into the chassis, so I can just do that to pull it out. And this thing is and that is what I like about this port solution, whatnot. And so you just stick it in. You stick it in the port that you've always had it in. Later on, you had things like wireless G become more prevalent. So you might have still had a laptop like this lying around and still kind of used it for general purpose things. You would have probably plugged one of these in. Yeah, this laptop also came in Pentium 2. So let's see what networking, what Windows Millennium had in terms of networking. Going from this to Ethernet. So I'll show you what Ethernet port looks like. That's my router, by the way. We're going to see that router when we hook it up. And this is an RJ45 cable. This is an RJ45 cable. Which is more specifically Cat5. And this is kind of a neat cable. This is a cable this cable will be plugged into our Ethernet port. Like that. And so we'll plug it in, turn it on, and see what Windows Millennium says. Like, I didn't have it plugged in the last time. I didn't have it plugged in while I was showing you some of the other stuff with Millennium. And you notice how it didn't, how the Microsoft network doesn't boot up unless it's plugged in. Well, that's just it. It doesn't, unless you have it plugged in, it won't show up. So let's turn it on. And maybe we'll take a look at wireless on this laptop. Let's see what Windows says. You can see that 200 megahertz Pentium MMX, 192 megabytes of RAM, which is a lot of RAM for a laptop, and Windows Millennium. So let's take a look at Windows Millennium with. Now, you would have probably ran something like Netscape on Navigator on here back in the day, but I think I'm only going to put Netscape Navigator on here, maybe. And so you see how the how the Microsoft networking client comes up this time because we have it plugged into Ethernet. And I've got it plugged in. Of course, my computer comes up because I had that open. Got our 3COM networking adapter plugged in. And as I said, we can move to the later prevalent. I can use the more prevalent wireless G. This is Trio Wireless G. Device, but it's USB. But it is USB instead, which is kind of nice. I would prefer the PCI MCIA standard more because I can just take it into the house. You see, it recognizes that router underneath my desk. So let's so you can do that, and yes, we can go here. Run the network wizard. And this was actually a feature that was later on introduced in Windows XP, but it was first introduced in Windows Millennium. So we can select our network devices. So we will choose our 3COM adapter, which I think this is also another 3COM device. I think this is also another 3COM device, which is kind of neat that I have 3COM device for both a modem, and an Ethernet card. And this Ethernet card also has DOS drivers. So I made sure to get this so I could play around with MS-DOS drivers on Windows 95. If and when I get this card to properly work with 95 again. As long as I don't fiddle around with settings on Millennium, it won't it won't forever be broken. But we can do direct connection. We connect to ISP. We do direct connection. Gateway solo. And we can change the work group. In fact, we can change it to that, and I would rather use that. I've always used select folders to share. No, we're not going to share any folders yet. No. But this is a feature I would not be remiss to show off, that I would be remiss not to show off in Windows Millennium. So now that our network works, we can go here, or maybe not. It doesn't quite exactly work. And this is another thing, congratulations. So you can do that. And you can plug that into your older 95 laptops, or you can run the network wizard under Windows XP. And Windows Millennium and Windows XP will communicate with each other, believe it or not. I just wanted to show off that the networking stuff isn't exactly working all the way yet, because unable to browse, Windows is unable to gain access to network. Yeah, I think it might have to be in a setting in my router that I need to set up. But your computer would show up in that list of devices on my network places, my network neighborhood. And I just want to show that off. And that's about all. Peace out.